My name is Tammara Bode. I am a doctoral intern at the Pacific Lutheran University Counseling Center. First and foremost, I want to give everyone a very warm Lute welcome and a message of care from the Counseling Center. We've created a YouTube channel with different days, and Mondays are Mindfulness Mondays. So I will be doing a little bit of psychoeducation and giving some tools and resources for Lutes to use during this time. Although that we are not on campus together, I hope that everyone is staying connected in some way, whether it be social media or other forms of connection. So please do feel free to comment on the psychoeducation or any other things that you have to say about the video. So I'm going to start off by saying that this has been stressful for a lot of folks, and there's been quite a bit of anxiety, and a little bit on stress and anxiety and why this might be helpful or even quite important during this time is when people are feeling extremely stressed, it actually lowers their immunity and their immune response. So we're going to talk a lot about control and no control, which is a traditional thing we do at the counseling center, and also some tools that can help get you through. So without further ado, I'm going to pick up a pen and talk a little bit about control and no control here on this whiteboard. So if you are in the counseling center, one thing that we would talk about are situations that are truly in your control and outside of your control. So we would draw a circle here. The circle goes in the middle, and we would put control. And then outside of the circle, we would put no control. Now, there are some things that are absolutely not in your control. So an example from things that have been happening lately is, let's just say it, COVID-19. The fact that we have COVID-19 here and the virus is present and its community spread is not in our control. What is in our control, however, are things like our own actions. So things that you can do, such as social distancing, giving yourself space or continuing your coursework online are all good actions that you could take, and you have control of those actions. You may not have control of other people's actions. So you might be doing a really good job with social distancing and taking care of yourself and taking care of your loved ones in that way, but you might observe that other people aren't necessarily doing that. So really others' actions and thoughts are outside of your control. And I know that there are all different kinds of thoughts and opinions circling around right now, but being mindful of that is something not in your control, and trying not to chase that down is going to be really important during this time. Let's talk a little bit more about things you can control. So one of the challenges that people have brought up quite a bit is, them feeling like everybody's always talking about the virus, and it's just really depressing, or makes me feel even more anxious. So things that you can control would be things like how much media you watch. So watching a lot of news could be really challenging. But however, something kind of in the middle is finding one or two sources that are reliable and limiting your time. Okay, so maybe media, how much media you see is in your control. However, what is put on that media is not in your control, right? So what's in the media. and there's a lot of opinions. We have a lot of opinions. Also, setting boundaries with other people. They may want to talk about COVID-19 or the virus a lot, and it's okay to set some boundaries. So in your control would be say, hey, very kind but firm. I've heard a lot about this lately, and can we talk about something else? I just really don't want to talk about the virus right now. So setting boundaries is within your control, okay? When people want to talk about the virus. So things that are not so much in your control is there's been a lot of shifts to remote work and working in groups, and people have had all different responses to the COVID kind of 19 situation, and how they are going to show up in groups. So how other people show up is kind of along the lines of actions. So you don't really have control of people's reactions to the virus, and if they're kind of being helpful still on a team or they have decided to leave the team. So others, like how they show up. Some people are how they show up. Some people are really anxious and are maybe not showing their best self or taking care of their self, and that's really something outside of your control. But what is in your control is how you show up. So how you finish your coursework. All right, so kind of taking that coursework on that's remote and maybe not what you expected. One of the things that also comes up with college students during this time a lot is, my professors shifted everything to online, and they're giving me like way more work. There's more homework than originally was in the syllabus, and it's actually even more stressful. So with this challenge, it's a combination perhaps of control and no control. So I can't control what the professors do. However, I can control my response to what they have posted. So it kind of falls in between. So professors, assignments. So maybe even grades are both in your control and outside of your control. So grades. Understanding that there are some things in your control and outside of your control can really help lower anxiety. And then also understanding that there is sometimes, such as with grades, a mixture of, well, some of this is in my control and some of this is outside of my control. And one of the biggest things that you can do for yourself is to navigate what piece of this do I own, what I control, and what piece is really just outside of my control and I need to let it go. So there are a couple other things that I wanted to mention on this first Mindful Monday, are practices that you can do at home. First is remember things that you did before we had the virus that were part of your self-care. So things like exercising, meditation, prayer, deep breathing, and mindfulness. If those are practices that you have already done before, trying to implement them in a new way. For example, you might not be able to go to the gym. However, you could perhaps go outside and ride a bike or jog or walk outside and finding kind of new routines. As far as social connections, there are Zoom and telephone conferences and just calling a loved one that could be helpful during this time. One of the important things about being mindful during this time is trying to create some kind of structure with your daily routine and understanding what's in your control and what's not in your control. So these are very short clips. Each Monday I'll be giving you a little bit more psychoeducation and some tools. I hope that you enjoyed the clip, and if you have any comments or would like to see something specific, please let me know. Also, I will be providing additional resources, to videos and articles down below the link that you can kind of look at to help guide you through this time. Thanks so much.